In this video, we'll be talking about the best metal albums of August Part 2. These will be albums released after August 15th. Like I usually do, I'll start with the albums I did reviews for, and then I will continue with the other albums. I have 15 albums in total, so I will go through them rather quickly. First one, Soilwork Övergivenheten. They are a Swedish melodic death metal band. They've been around a long time. I think they get overlooked by the other Swedish metal death bands, like In Flames and Dark Tranquility, but this band has been very consistent. This album is just a very good metal death album. They were able to incorporate lots of different styles into their signature sound, and it's worth a listen. Then Becoming the Archetype, Children of the Great Extinction. They are a progressive death metal band. I discovered back in those days when I was listening to a lot of Christian metal bands. This is their first album in 10 years. They play a style of metal that's kind of like tech death, but with some elements of prog. They mix in like a lot of stuff. They're just very unique, so check them out. And Machine Head of Kingdom and Crown. This one was better than I expected. It's a concept album about a dystopian future. They mix their different styles of thrash, groove, and nu metal. Lots of good songs. For example, Choke on the Ashes of Your Hate. That's a great one. Not a perfect album. There's some filler on it, but lots of good stuff here. Sigh with Shiki, a band I just discovered. They are a Japanese avant-garde metal band. I enjoyed this one. Very experimental. Some songs are quiet. Some songs are heavy. You got some black metal, some ambient stuff, and you got everything in between. So this one's very good. And Gravedigger, a Symbol of Eternity, a German metal band. They've been around a long time. They have 21 albums. They play a mix of like speed metal, power metal, traditional heavy metal. This album was very consistent. If you like old school metal, check out this band. So the next 10 albums will be the ones that I didn't review, so I will talk a little more in detail with these. We have Russian Circles with Gnosis. They're an instrumental band. Now, I don't listen to these types of bands that much, but this one caught my attention. I think most instrumental bands are more on the progressive metal side, like Animals as Leaders or Liquid Tension Experiment, but this band plays more like post-metal. Sounds a little like melodic death metal. They do like that tremolo picking, and the overall tone of the songs have like a dark atmosphere. They play some chunky riffs, for example, like the song Conduit has a lot of that. They got some galloping guitar riffs and some thicker sound texture. So check out this band. Next, Conan, Evidence of Immortality. They are a British doom metal band. They've been around for about 10 years. I learned about this band from the Chill Dude on the Couch Reviews channel. He interviewed the band, and they play like slow, heavy, sludgy doom metal. The album is 6 songs, but it's 51 minutes long. It's the kind of doom metal that you listen to when you just want to kind of like sit back and take in all the heavy riffs. There are times when they do pick up the pace a little, and for example, the song Levitation Hoax, that's more along the lines of classic doom. Remind me of bands like Trouble or Saint Vitus. That song in particular has some really chunky guitar riffs. But the final song, Grief Sequence, it's like 15 minutes long. It's very epic. It's like funeral doom. That's an instrumental, so you kind of have to be like in the right state of mind to take it all in. But if you like slow and heavy, check out this band. Next, I have Hammer King with Kingdemonium. This is a power metal / heavy metal band, and they've only been around 7 years. They have a few albums under their belt. Band is from Germany. I guess they could be compared to something like Blind Guardian. They play a lot of melodic riffs. The vocals similar to other European power metal bands. There are times they play some guitar riffs closer to like classic heavy metal. Maybe something like the band Saxon or Gravedigger that I just mentioned. But the songs are very catchy. A song like We Will Rise has some cool like Iron Maiden style guitar riffs. Guardians of the Realm, this one has Ross the Boss from Manowar, so that's a very epic song. Check it out if you like classic power metal and heavy metal. Next, Eruption, Tellurian, Rapture. This is a thrash metal band from Slovenia. They've been active for about 18 years. It's old school thrash metal. Opening song has an intro reminding me of like Slayer's Raining Blood. Has that thunder and lightning sounds building up to the first guitar riff. What you get with this band is lots of heavy old school riffs. The vocals remind me of Mike Howe from Metal Church. Some of the songs are very fast paced, some heavy and chunky guitar riffs. They do some shorter, like thrash metal style instrumentals. There's like a song by Ignorance Obscured, then some ballads like Praise the Serpent Queen. That one brings back those classic thrash metal ballads of the late 80s. Overall, a good album. Next, Spirit Adrift, 20 Centuries Gone. This is a band that started out as a doom metal band and moved more towards like heavy metal. This was actually like the first underground band that I reviewed on my channel. I think my channel was only about like 1 or 2 weeks old when I reviewed the album Enlightened in Eternity back in 2020. Now that video, I think it only has like 20 views, but since then, I have always liked this band. They haven't put out another full album since then, but they have been like dropping a few EPs. And then this one, which is a compilation album, but they kind of call it an EP. It's 37 minutes long. First 2 songs, Sorcerer's Fate and Mass Formation Psychosis, are new songs. Then they play cover songs for the rest. So we got covers by Typo Negative, Pantera, Metallica, Thin Lizzy, Leonard Skinner, and ZZ Top. So you see they mix in some classic metal with some classic rock, and just this band is awesome. So check them out. Next is Dreadnaught The Endless. So this is an album. I just listened to it yesterday for the first time. They're from Colorado in the US. They're very unique. It's 2 female vocalists, and they play a mix of like black metal, post metal, progressive metal, and then there's some jazz and some classical, and they mix in a lot of stuff. The album's 6 songs. It's 41 minutes long. They just mix in lots of elements of, you got some soft, dreamy, atmospheric music, some epic undertones, and it's a type of music that kind of like slowly builds as it goes along. At times you're wondering like what you listen to, and then they kind of like catch you by surprise with like extreme and heavy sounds, like when you least expect it. And they mix in some other styles on other songs. So for example, Midnight Moon, this has like an 80s goth or a post-punk feel. My favorite song on the album is called Liminal Veil. It's one of the slow-building post-metal songs with some awesome vocals, and this band is awesome, so check them out. Next, Dynazty with Final Advent. They are a Swedish power metal band. Now, I had heard of them. I never listened to them before this album. I know they have a big following. It's their 9th album called Final Advent. They play like European power metal. It has a very big sound. They use lots of keyboards and guitars. The songs are melodic and catchy. Lots of soaring vocals and a few good songs here. The song Natural Born Killers has a very melodic sound. Type of song that sticks in your head. The song All the Devils Are Here has an arena rock sound. That would probably be a good song to play live. Another song called The White. Very good. It has some like neoclassical guitar playing. So it's a good album if you like that European power metal sound. Next, Desolation Angels with Burning Black. This band is part of the new wave of British heavy metal. They were around back when like Iron Maiden and Saxon were first getting started. They put out albums in 1986 and 1990, and then they made a comeback in like 2017 with an album called King, and this is the follow-up called Burning Black. The sound hasn't changed much. It's like classic metal like Diamond Head or Angel Witch. Opening track Living a Lie, it's this very classic metal sound. Unseen Enemy reminded me a little of classic Halloween. Some slower and melodic songs like Mother Earth. Very catchy and a little more like 80s glam metal. And the title track like 80s style metal ballad. And another song, Stand Your Ground, a lot more reminiscent of like Iron Maiden's 2 Minutes to Midnight. Still a good song. This is a band that they're not doing anything groundbreaking. Some of the music is derivative, but it's just kind of like a fun album if you like classic metal, and that's what I have to say about that. Next, Consumption with Necrotic Lust. This band is from Sweden. They play old school death metal. They've been active since 2020, so it's their 2nd album. The album's really cool. Like the songs, like every song starts with a sound clip from a Vincent Price movie. So, you can tell they're fans of classic horror. The album is 9 songs, 45 minutes long. This is the perfect length for this type of album, and what I like about this band is they play death metal. They add in a little like doom as well, so it's not all like fast and heavy all the way through. They play lots of death metal riffs, and the sound clips before the songs, they kind of like help make them stand out. And sometimes with death metal, sometimes like you don't know when one song starts and the other one finishes, but with this, those little sound bites kind of help that. The vocals are traditional death metal. They are understandable, so that's good. So it's a cool album to check out if you like old school death metal. I'm going to talk about one more album called Tad Morose, March of the Obsequious. So they are a heavy metal band from Sweden. They've been around since the 90s, but I've never listened to them. I guess they can be described as a band that plays that type of music that existed in the late 80s. That was kind of like somewhere between like heavy metal, power metal, and progressive metal and thrash. Think of a band like 80s, a metal church, a band like Sanctuary, that type of metal. Just very good. It's something you don't hear much these days, and lots of good songs. So we got the song Pandemonium, closer to like classic thrash metal. You got the power metal style vocals. You got the Phantasm, a little closer to heavy power metal. And that one's like a little more laid back. The song Escape, more of a prog metal song with some heavy riffs. And then A Quilt of Shame has some like heavy and chunky riffs. So it just reminded me of those like classic like late 80s bands of, that like classic metal church I mentioned again. It's very good. Probably actually the most underrated album on my list. That's why I saved it for the end. But that's all. Please remember, like, comment, subscribe. The weekend's coming up. Lots of good stuff. Megadeth, King's X, Blind Guardian, and stick around. Like, comment, subscribe, and see you in the next one.